On Thursday, the Cavs rejected any notion that they play soft. And now it's the Bulls and Michael Jordan wondering what's going on. Today, Game 3 in Cleveland.
Mark Price was a big difference in Game 2, and that's no surprise. He's been the difference all year for Cleveland.
It may be a holiday weekend, but yes, my friends, the mailman still delivers. Who writes this stuff? Coming up, Showtime. It's Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals at the Richfield Coliseum. Chicago and Cleveland tied, of course, at a game apiece. So far this year, the Cavaliers are 40-7 in this building, and now they own the home court advantage over the defending NBA champions. Hi, everybody. Bob Costas with Quinn Buckner, and Peter Bessie and Bob Ferry will be here after the first commercial. One thing becomes apparent. It's not going to be a breeze for the Bulls. They still deserve to be the favorites to repeat. But last year, they were 15-2 in the playoffs, and both losses, in effect, were at the buzzer. This year, they've already lost 4 playoff games. 3 of their wins over the Knicks, they had to fight to the very end for. The Cavs are going to be tough, and Utah or Portland, if they get past the Cavs, will be tough for different reasons. This is going to be a struggle.
I think it's going to be a struggle for a lot of reasons. One, as defending champions, everybody comes at you. They play much harder. They do more things to make you tax yourself, and I think that's one of the reasons they have injuries. Bill Cartwright, for example, has a strained back. Now, if he doesn't play in the game, what you have is you got to have Stacey King play big and Will Perdue. But neither one of those guys can guard Brad Daugherty, who is a major player for what Cleveland wants to get done. But I don't care what happens. Michael Jordan has got to play a great game for Chicago to get a win today.
Interestingly, in this series, each team is weakest relatively where the other is strongest. I mean, nobody stops Jordan or Pippen, but that's where the Cavs are especially weak in that matchup. And nobody stops Price or Daugherty, but that's where the Bulls really give away the most also.
Well, they have that problem. Then they have the problem of trying to guard Hot Rod Williams. Hot Rod has a great first step. At 6'10", 6'11", he can get around you. So he takes Grant, those people out on the perimeter. That's a matchup that Chicago's got big problems with. They've got to find a way to handle Hot Rod Williams.
You know, I should say, in all due respect, nobody stops Pippen. The Knicks did for a while. Until the end of that series, the Knicks really did, and the X-Man did it. Well, anyway, after winning Game 1 of the series handily on Tuesday, the Bulls may have relaxed a little for Game 2. The result was a shocker. The Cavs won by 26 on Chicago's home court, and it wasn't even that close. Cleveland led by as many as 35 in dealing the Bulls their worst loss of the season.
Well, I've never sat through an exhibition of basketball like that in my life. This team deserved to be booed when they came off the floor.
Worst ever since my 5 year here. You know, we came out, shot the ball flat, didn't rebound. We didn't do anything right.
We was too relaxed, and we went out and played like it.
After Game 1, some decided the Cavs had played too soft, a claim Lenny Wilkens strongly disagreed with.
We couldn't be cream puffs or marshmallows to win 57 games.
All that press about them being nice guys, and I guess they really wanted to show us and you guys that they're not such nice guys.
Relinquishing the home court advantage is nothing new for the Bulls. In last year's finals, the Lakers stole Game 1 in Chicago. In the conference semifinals this year, the Knicks won the opening game to also take the home court. But in both cases, the Bulls immediately seized home court back by winning Game 3 on the road.
So in this league, you never have a home court advantage when you get this late in the playoff, and it was proven the last series, you know, between them and New York, between us and Boston. Each one team won on each other's court, and it's probably happened the same thing this series.
Not an excuse here for Chicago. The Cavaliers were the better team the other night and would have won under any circumstances. But if it didn't seem like the Bulls were their normal selves in Game 2, it's probably because they weren't. Michael Jordan had a sore throat and a slight fever. Bill Cartwright strained his back, and he didn't play at all in the second half. For an update now, we go out to Richfield and join Marv Albert and Mike Fratello. Marvelous.
All right, Bob, and Thursday night in Chicago was certainly a struggle for Michael Jordan, as you say, bothered by that sore throat, plus a touch of the flu. Jordan shot only 7 for 22. Michael was so concerned about his subpar performance that for the first time in the playoffs, he actually came out early to shoot around, something that he rarely does, but he told us that physically he is fine.
I had an infection in my throat and a 24-hour virus, which kind of kept me weak, and I really wasn't feeling well last game. But yesterday I had a day off, stayed in bed, and today I'm ready to play, so let's get the job done.
Michael Jordan's feeling much better. He's ready to go this afternoon. He had not touched the basketball since the end of Game 2, so he felt the need to come out early and get a feel for the Coliseum floor. Now, the other area of concern, Bill Cartwright, the starting center, with lower back problems. Spoke to Bill moments ago. His back has been loosened up by the trainer. He's feeling a little bit better. He's going to try and start and then play as many minutes as he possibly can.
And as we heard Lenny Wilkens make reference to a moment ago, it seems the catchword here in the Cleveland area has been marshmallows. That's all we've heard the past 24 hours. Fans bringing supplies of marshmallows to today's game. Now, for more on the marshmallow saga, let's go outside the Coliseum to the parking lot. Here's Ahmad Rashad.
All right, thanks, Marv. I was talking to Michael Jordan just before the game today, and he said for the first time in his career, he was involved in a controversy which he had nothing to do with. The Chicago press had said that the Cleveland Cavaliers were soft as marshmallows and soft as cream puffs. The result, this is the reaction of the Cleveland fans. Marshmallows and cream puffs. Marv?
Czar, do you like marshmallows?
No.
Bob?
Thank you for that fine report, gentlemen. Game 3 in the Western Conference Finals took place last night in Utah at the Delta Center. The Trailblazers humiliated the Jazz in games 1 and 2, but the change of venue, as always, did Utah a world of good. During the regular season, Utah had a 37-4 home record, best in the league. They're now 7-0 on their home floor during the playoffs. But as late as the third quarter, Clyde Drexler and the Trailblazers had a 10-point lead. Drexler and Jerome Kersey led the Blazers with 26. But Utah came back, partly with defense. Karl Malone picks up the tip pass. Ahead of the field of Blue Edwards for the slam. Utah goes on a 21-8 run and seizes control of the game. Huge night for the mailman. Most of his 39 points came on the inside, but this one on the jumper over Buck Williams. Karl Malone got 25 in the second half. And now here's the other Malone to sum it up.
We didn't feel we were out of it. We weren't down 3-0. I mean, our backs were slightly against the wall, but they weren't on the wall. We had a chance, and we came out and we did it tonight. So we feel pretty good about ourselves. But another big game Sunday, and we got to come ready.
I think Utah is very methodical, very predictable in what they like to get done. And so it's just a matter of defending them. I think they executed well today, and they won the game. I think it's up to us to come out and play better in Game 4.
Good possibility this could be a 7-game series, home team winning every game.
Well, Utah, as you well know, is very good at home. They struggle on the road, but one of the reasons I think they do so well is on the road, at home, is Karl Malone is a guy who really feeds off the crowd, and he gets his energy up. And when I talked to John Stockton about him, everybody feeds off of Karl Malone. So when they get the energy from the crowd, that is Karl Malone, so do the Jazz. That's why they struggle on the road. They've got to find a way to carry that onto the road. They're extremely difficult to play at home.
Okay, well, up next, the insiders will join us, and they'll have their usual full plate of information. That's as NBA Showtime continues after this. Of a long NBA weekend. They'll be here today, take tomorrow off, and come back on Memorial Day. Plenty of coaching changes and maneuvers to talk about. Ron Rothstein is in now as the new head coach of the Pistons. What do you think?
Well, I think he was groomed for the job all along. He was an assistant coach in Detroit for Jack McCluskey. I guess said, go down to Miami, get some experience, and we'll bring you back. That's the only thing I can think of. But I don't think this was any big surprise. Everybody knew that he was in line for the job.
The interesting thing is that Jack McCloskey, had he taken the Knick GM job a while back, Ronnie Rothstein was going to be the Knick coach. That's a definite. So he's like this guy all along. You know, we've got to strike off the record what he did down in Miami. How many guys could win with that team other than Kevin Lockery?
Well, it's a different team, though, too. The team he was coaching in Miami, that's a lot of youth down there. And I don't know if Ron Rothstein, his demeanor is not suited toward coaching young players. He's a player. He's more of a manager. And what he needs is a veteran crew, much more like they have in Detroit. So as you said, it's not a secret, but he is much better suited to Detroit than he was Miami.
Speaking of McCloskey, you've got him talking with Bob Stein in Minnesota. Is he on his way to the T-Wolves?
Well, he said at the press conference for Ronnie that he believes that it might be time for him to back off. I'm told, well, Stein has admitted that they've talked twice. I believe they're going to interview this weekend, and I look for Jack to join them as VP.
All right, if Jack goes, might Daly come back to the Piston front office?
I think what Daly should do is he ought to come back as the general manager and make Ronnie play for exactly the players that he had there.
But Dennis Rodman wants Chuck Daly to come back as coach, so that's the only way out for him.
Yeah, how about this? Rodman says he doesn't want to play for anybody but Daly.
Well, Rodman says a lot of things in his life that he usually apologizes for the next day or two, so we'll be looking for that apology.
To play for Daly, there's a good chance that Dennis Rodman would have to get traded to New Jersey.
All right, is he bound for New Jersey? That's what you've been saying for the past week or so.
Well, there's no doubt. They're talking now. He has said that he is interested. He's even given the Nets a figure of $1 million a year for 3 years. The Nets aren't shying away from that. If everything else can be worked out, and I see no reason why it can't, there's been some speculation that he wants power to make personnel decisions. He wants input on personnel decisions, and Willis Reed has no problem with that whatsoever.
Now, last week I was talking to Mike Dunleavy at the lottery. He says whoever they get to be the Bucks GM, and you know he's got the 8-year contract, Dunleavy does, as the coach. Almost $8 million over 8 years. And even you can figure out what the average is per year on that basis. He just hopes they find a GM whom he can work with as compatibly as he did with Jerry West. Who's it going to be?
Well, he's given out 4 names to the John Steinmiller, the vice president of the Bucks. They're guys that he's gotten along with over the years. Ernie Grunfeld would be his #1 choice. He's with the Knicks. Mitch Kupchak, he got him the Laker job. He got Jerry West interested in Dunleavy. There's also Doug Collins, who we know is with TNT. And there's a 4th guy who I am not at liberty to tell you about at this point.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Don't do this.
I will do it.
Who is it?
No, he's working right now. I'll tell you that.
Who is it?
It's not Frank Layden.
All right, fine. I'll accept that.
You know, you may not talk about the 4th guy, but I think Ernie Grunfeld has a very good shot at this. Mike likes him. The other thing, one of the things the Bucks wanted to try to do was to get somebody back from the late 70s to make sure they can get that. There was a green and growing feeling because they're going through a total rehabilitation, rebuilding process there. So Ernie would bring back some of those feelings. His wife happens to be from Milwaukee, and her father was one of the original owners of the Bucks. So that would be the most logical choice.
A great choice for him, though, would be Mitch Kupchak. He's worked under Jerry West. He's had a lot of responsibility out there, but he's getting married this summer, so I think if he took the job, he'd have to check with his bride-to-be. But
Mitch has already told Mike that he's not going to take that job.
Mitch wouldn't leave L.A. I mean, he really likes Los Angeles.
Would Danny Manning leave L.A., not necessarily of his own accord, but through a trade?
I like the way you got into that.
I'm the king of the segues. That's my job here. I just move it right along.
Well, the deal with Danny Manning right now is that, first of all, the Clippers have to re-sign Charles Smith. He's a restricted free agent. They know they're going to have to give him big dollars. That's going to happen first. Once he's re-signed, they have to determine whether they can get Manning after his contract expires after next year. His agent, Ron Grinker, has told me that they told Donald Sterling a couple years ago that they will not re-sign, and that's still the case to this day. So they're going to have to look to move Manning. They're talking about for Barkley again, and they're talking.
You know, a key to this is really Charles Smith, because they got to sign Charles Smith, maybe even with the intention of trading him for Olajuwon and Norman and combining things together. But they can't let both of these guys hang out there. And I talked to Ron Grinker yesterday, Manning's agent, who's in a hospital. And he said that right now their plans are just to go out till next year, July, take the 1-year option on his contract offer sheet, and just see what the free agency market is.
And I think either way, it's a mistake. Because Larry Brown is a nice man and a great coach, but to handle Akeem and I think either Charles Barkley, I just don't think he can do that. Those guys have a mannerism that can be, as good a player as they are, they have a mannerism that upsets chemistry. And Danny Manning is more apt to bring chemistry to the team than I think either one of those two players.
But they have to be sure they can get something for Danny. If they feel that they're going to lose him, then they have to get something while they still can.
Very briefly to wrap up here before we alarm his family and friends. Ron Grinker is in the hospital. I take it it's not serious?
No, everything's fine. He's got that balloon treatment to his heart, and he's doing great.
All right. Up next, we'll hear from the guy who has brought the Cavs, at least helped to bring them, all the way back this year. Their point guard, Mark Price. That's his NBA Showtime continues. The Cavs. Game time less than 15 minutes away at the Richfield Coliseum. Price scorched the Bulls in Game 2 at Chicago, scoring 21 of his 23 points in the decisive first half, including 4 3-pointers. Now, last Sunday, the NBA conducted its annual draft lottery. It was only 12 months ago that one of the teams in the lottery was the Cleveland Cavaliers. That may seem a little odd considering that the Cavs were an emerging title contender and a young one at that. But a short while ago, a series of injuries, one injury in particular, changed all that. And the most important injury was to Mark Price. Quinn Buckner picks up the story.
The Cavaliers' dream is now reality as they've made their first conference final since 1976. But only a year and a half ago, they lived through a nightmare.
I felt my knee kind of go a couple different directions, and I knew that couldn't be good.
Now Mark Price will be taken to the locker room and examined.
Doctors told me I had torn it and I was going to be out for the year.
As Price went through a long and trying rehab process, he watched the Cavs struggle to win only 33 games in his absence.
You pull him for your team, you want him to do well, but to watch him struggle and not be able to do anything about it, it's kind of tough.
Nearly fully recovered from his devastating injury, Price rejoined the team in mid-November, and the Cavs started to reemerge as contenders.
During the season, Mark got healthy and the team started to come together. And we started to develop and mature and grow with each game.
Bounce back out to Price, comes down the baseline under the basket, hooks it up and in!
He brings that ability to penetrate.
Price keeps fighting all the way, feeds it to Brand for the day.
To get easy baskets for other players because of his ability to penetrate.
Spectacular! Looking to get a basket, Price sets for three.
He helps keep people honest sometimes.
1+! Shooting a league-leading 94% from the free throw line this season, Price was always spurred on by his father, Denny, a former NBA assistant coach.
Whenever growing up, I was sitting around and watching games or, especially pro games, my dad would be like, these guys are making all this money and they can't even step up there and hit a free throw. It's what he always complained about. So I figured, I better learn to hit my free throws. I wouldn't want my dad griping at me all the time.
Growing up in a household dominated by basketball and religion, Price recently fulfilled his love of church singing by putting together a group and an album.
It was something that also helped me get my mind away from basketball for a while, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed getting a chance to do that.
But make no mistake, on the court, this fierce competitor doesn't play like a choir boy.
That happens to a lot of people. Sometimes they're very quiet off the court, and then on the court, they kind of, go wild a little bit.
I try to lead a lot by example. If I'm out there working, I know the other guys are going to be doing it too, and so that's kind of how I approach it.
Keeping the ball in Price's hands has been Cleveland's approach in the Cavaliers' season of resurgence.
It's really something special for our team because we have been through a lot together, and to finally gotten to this point, that means a lot.
Probably doesn't hurt that he's coached by one of the greatest point guards in the NBA's history, Lenny Wilkens.
Well, not only that, I remember when Mark Price was first getting drafted, there's his coach at Georgia Tech, Bobby Cremins. Some people may or may not know. Bobby was begging people to take this kid. He said he's a great player. One of the people he talked to was Wayne Embry. I happened to be standing there, and I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but they've got a gold mine in Mark Price. He is a competitor, and that's what I really like about it.
And yet he still lasted till the first pick of the second round in the '86 draft. Last 2 years without him, 24 and 42. Other guys were injured, but still, with him, 74 and 37. Something else that's interesting. John Paxson's kind of in a special case when you talk about the point guards of the four remaining teams in the playoffs because of the presence of Jordan. But the other three, Porter, Stockton, Price, none of them that highly regarded at the start. Price not taken till the second round. Stockton playing a couple years behind Ricky Green. Porter was behind Darnell Valentine and Steve Coulter for a while in Portland, and then they all emerged as superstars.
Well, it did, and you know what helped Mark Price is that all of a sudden, one of his problems initially is they converted him. They thought he was really going to be a two-guard, the shooting guard, and he obviously can shoot it very well. What they didn't have a good feel for was his understanding of the game. As you saw just a moment ago, his dad is a former coach, and most kids who have fathers that are coaches have a better grasp for the game. That's why he also has the ability to get people involved in the game.
All right, time for us to get Marv Albert and Mike Fratello involved. They'll call Game 3 from the Richfield Coliseum coming up, and then Quinn and I will see you back here at halftime. First, these messages from your local station, and then Game 3.
Michael at the foul line. A shot on the
end. 3 years have passed, and the words still echo. The decisive shot that crushed the hearts of the fans and the dreams of the Cleveland Cavaliers, eliminating them from the playoffs. Now they meet again, and for Craig Ehlo, a chance for redemption. But in Game 1, it was Michael Jordan again, leaving the Clevelanders stunned and bewildered. Were we about to witness another Cavalier nightmare? Redemption came in Game 2 as Craig Ehlo went right at Michael Jordan, at times handcuffing the 3-time MVP, taking the air out of the defending world champions. Now the pressure to win is on Michael Jordan. And though the nightmare of the shot still haunts the Cleveland faithful, a win today over Jordan moves the Cavs one step closer to their ultimate dream.
Here's what we want. Give him the ball to the backcourt.
This is the NBA on NBC. The 1992 NBA playoffs. Today, Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Chicago Bulls and the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Screen pass. That's us. Well, after Cleveland was beaten in Game 1 of this series last Tuesday, all they heard was how soft they were. They were referred to as marshmallows, cream puffs, certainly in comparison to the physical play of the Knicks against the Bulls. So the marshmallow tag has emerged as the battle cry of Cleveland Cavalier fans. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert, along with the czar of the color spreader, Mike Fratello. And Mike, in effect, the hearts, the manhood of the Cavaliers was put to the challenge by fans and the media. And the Cavaliers certainly were able to respond and turn it around in game number 2 on Thursday.
Mark, to use those type of words to describe a team that won 57 games during the regular season is almost ridiculous. They just show their heart in a different way. And the guy who leads this team in heart is Brad Daugherty. He played a terrific series against Boston with a Brantley sprained ankle, is averaging over 25 points per game against Chicago, and his numbers in the playoffs are better than they were during the regular season. And this is very unusual because during the playoffs, normally your numbers go down.
As for the Chicago Bulls, first the injury report, and as we mentioned earlier, both Michael Jordan and Bill Cartwright are okay. Both in the starting lineup. Cartwright bothered by that strained back, but he said he'll be able to go. And with the Bulls showing some vulnerability in the playoffs, you get the idea that this is not the same Chicago team that steamrolled its way to the championship a year ago. Now, have other clubs improved so much, or are other teams around the NBA now better prepared for the Bulls?
Well, one thing Chicago is learning, that the crown is very heavy to wear. The lengthy playoff series take its toll both physically and mentally. If you go back a year ago, their 15-2 record in the playoffs was second best in the history of the playoffs for 4 rounds. Already, after 2 rounds plus this year, an 8-4 record, 4 losses, way above last season's total. And when you look for numbers that have dropped dramatically, points per game down almost 17, field goal percentage down, and free throw percentage down in the low 70s. So the Bulls certainly have some areas of concern.
All right, for a feel of the locker room move, let's go over to Ahmad Rashad.
All right, Marv, now I visited the Chicago Bulls locker room, and it was as quiet as I have ever seen it. Obviously, thank you, Dick Bavetta, who was handing me the ball. It was as quiet as I'd ever seen it. Obviously, the players were a little bit embarrassed
by by their play the other night. I talked to Scottie Pippen about his ability to not play against a physical defense. I asked him that. He said, well, I will let my actions speak for myself today. So they're ready to go, and I think they're ready to get this one game going so they can forget about the last one. Marv?
All right, Ahmad, and this crowd is certainly ready. It is one of the loudest in the NBA. When we come back, Game 3 of the best of 7. Capacity crowd, better than 20,000 here at the Coliseum in Richfield. A look at the Chicago starting lineup. John Paxson, Michael Jordan in the backcourt, Horace Grant, and Scottie Pippen on the front line. And Bill Cartwright, despite the strained lower back, starting at center. The coach of the Bulls, Phil Jackson. And the Cavaliers with a backcourt of Mark Price and Craig Elo. Larry Nance and Mike Sanders are up front. And Brad Daugherty, who has had a sensational playoff, the starting center. And there's the coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers, a native of Brooklyn, 54 years old, in his 6th season as Cavalier coach. Lenny Wilkens, Hall of Fame player, over an outstanding 15-year career. The officials, Jake O'Donnell, Dick Bavetta, and Steve Javie. And this is now a 5-game series with 3 to be played here at the Coliseum, with the Cavaliers managing to come up with a victory in Chicago on Tuesday. In Game 1, the Bulls came out, hit 15 of their first 20 shots, opened up a 20-point lead before halftime, and were never caught. But Game 2 in Chicago won in a romp by Cleveland, 107-81. At one time, Cleveland led by 35 points. The Bulls missed their first 13 shot attempts. The first field goal scored by Scottie Pippen with 3:36 left in the first quarter. So Chicago controls the opening tip.
And let's see if Chicago goes back to its standard way of starting a game by getting the ball to Bill Cartwright with the bad back, or do they start in a different direction?
The pass intended for Pippen. Nance broke it up. Frank Elo for Brad Daugherty. Oh, nice fake by Daugherty. Cartwright looked the other way. And Jordan able to tip it to Grant.
Well, Daugherty is a guy they just can't handle straight up. They've got to come and double team him. It's when they come that's the big decision for Chicago.
Grant from Pippen. Nice pass from Pippen. Mark Price, played by John Paxson. We're just underway at the Coliseum. Cartwright stepping out to cut off the pass. And Pippen was fouled by Sanders.
That may be the hardest foul so far in this series between these two teams. Pippen with the obvious path to the basket there. Sanders not going to let him get an easy layup early in the game. Takes a hard foul. Scottie leading the break, turns the corner. Now Sanders knows he's in trouble. There, the body and the arm knocking him off balance. They've stayed away from extra hard fouls. I think obviously the concern after the Knicks series, but there are certain points where the Cavaliers are just not going to let people waltz to the basket for scores.
Pippen shaken up. The Bulls take the 22nd timeout. Well, we talked a moment ago about the problems the Bulls have had, the poor shooting in game number 2. Take a look at this rundown and compare what the Bulls did during the regular season with this series.
Well, the triangle offense has been mentioned so many times for Chicago in producing great shot opportunities, but bottom line is when you have a Paxson, Jordan, and Pippen that continually knock out the perimeter shots, then almost any offense is good. When they're not shooting well, they struggle like any other team.
So Pippen to the line. Let's check in with Ahmad.
All right, Marv. During that last play, Scottie Pippen jammed his left hand. The trainer, Chip Schaefer, was taking a look at it. It appears that he's all right. He's still in the game, but he really was in pain during that last timeout. Marv?
Scottie Pippen told us last night he's also still bothered by the sprained right ankle and has been taking treatments, for the most part, Whirlpool and ice. Bulls 4, 6-0. Price working off the pick, but Paxson able to stay with him. Here's Price.
If there were two big areas that jumped out, it was the Doherty matchup against Cartwright and then the Paxson-Price matchup. Toughness needed by Paxson.
Michael Jordan getting the good shot opportunity to drill it home for a 6-0 Chicago advantage. Elo. Greg Elo gaining the inside position.
Michael Jordan mentioned to us earlier today that one of the important things for Chicago was a very good start in this building, particularly because of the crowd, and then to let the Cavaliers know this is a different Chicago team today.
Jordan to the board and extends to an 8-2 Chicago lead. It was so unusual to see Jordan come out early to shoot around. You may recall several years ago, at times Michael Jordan would come out. The thought that he would come into the game ready, and during that stretch, Jordan would get off very quickly. Elo tried the three-point attempt. Other times he felt he was better off not coming out early to shoot. Pippen able to rush by Sanders, and he set up Grant. And Lenny Wilkins wants a timeout, so the Bulls have come out fast. They've hit 4 of 5 from the field, and they lead by the score of 10-2.
Well, Jordan is taking things into his own hands, whether it be at the offensive end by knocking down open jump shots, getting good screens from his teammates, or going to the glass, trying to produce second shot opportunities, follow-up scores for the Chicago Bulls.
With the timeout, we'll pause for these words. Well, as we mentioned a moment ago, it's so unusual for Michael Jordan to come out and shoot early prior to the normal team warm-up, and we talked about that with Michael.
Well, I hadn't touched the basketball since the last game, and I had a day off, and we really didn't have an opportunity to get over early and shoot this morning. So it's just to get a feel of the ball back, and you know, just get my rhythm back with my shot, because I really didn't shoot the ball particularly well last game, and I don't want to have those thoughts in my mind going into such a crucial game as this.
Great players do whatever necessary to help turn it around, to help make them a better player or help a team win, whether it's in baseball, taking extra batting practice, or in basketball, coming out and doing your pregame shooting. Michael Jordan gets it done.
And Michael, bothered by the sore throat and the flu, sent home from Thursday morning shoot-around, did play in the game on Thursday, missed 9 of his first 10 shots and went 7 of 22 from the field.
Already we see Chicago taking its defense, extending it, trying to use up more time on the 24-second clock, perhaps trying to wear down Mark Price a little bit in bringing the ball up versus pressure.
The Bulls off to the 10-2 lead.
I think there's a statement here. Michael Jordan playing Mark Price. They don't want to give Price any easy looks at the basket, taking the pressure off Paxson, putting him on Elo.
The ball remains in possession of Cleveland. It hit under the backboard, but was touched last by Chicago, so the Cavaliers get it back. This is the first time the Cavaliers have advanced beyond the first round since back in 1976. Had a terrific regular season. They won 57, lost 25. Paxson with the steal. Paxson with the lead for Jordan, and he's fouled by Price. And Cleveland in the playoffs knocked off the New Jersey Nets in 4 in that best of 5, and then defeated Boston in 7. Foul on Price, sending Jordan to the line, and the Chicago Bulls 14 for 23 from the line among their many problems on Tuesday night. They were 19 for 19 and in game 1. One of the flaws with this team has been at the foul line, where they are 18th in the league.
Well, they continued in the middle of the season down the stretch run to drop lower in the standings in free throw shooting, wound up just over 74% as a team during the regular season. That's going to be a problem in those particularly close games.
Nance and Grant with the rebound. Here's Pippen. The Bulls with a 12-2 lead on the Cavaliers. Jordan from deep. Sanders lost it, but it will be Cleveland ball. Cartwright trying to save it. Stepped out. crowd trying to urge the Cavaliers on. Doherty. Cavaliers have hit 1 of 6 from the field. Here's Elo. It counts, according to Elo, but Jake O'Donnell says no. It is a foul against Chicago, but the Cavaliers do not get the call on the continuation. Cartwright picks up the personal.
And Jake O'Donnell saying that the foul took place way before Craig Elo was in the act of shooting. Therefore, you can't count the basket. You give him the ball out of bounds on the side.
It began at the start of the drive as Cartwright clipped him. Elo for 3. And a reach-in foul on Mike Sanders.
Right now, the Chicago Bulls are on the glass, rebounding the basketball defensively, and you've got Jordan and Grant flying down the floor with Pippen leading the fast break.
Well, one of the best 6th men of the NBA, John Hot Rod Williams, has come on, replacing Mike Sanders, who is noted for his defensive work. The matchup is Williams on Pippen. Pippen with the fake, went to the scoop, rebounded by Vance. Here's Price. Cavaliers not getting good shots. Pippen extends to a 14-2 Chicago lead.
When you have great perimeter shooters that knock them out from downtown, if they're having an off afternoon or an off evening, there's a lot of long rebounds, which gives Chicago a chance to run out on the fast break.
And Cleveland has opened up by hitting only 1 of its first 8 from the field. Here's that long rebound that you mentioned.
They just inverted. Paxson stayed in, got the rebound. Pippen said, I'm gone. Just find me in transition.
So the 22nd timeout is taken by the Cavaliers. 7:24 remaining in this first quarter. The Chicago Bulls, as it turns out, have had major problems in the first quarter.
Well, they certainly had problems in game number 2 of this series, but the statement that Jordan made, our team has to come out early, they've done it so far this afternoon.
Light pressure by the Bulls. Now they drop back, allowing Doherty to move it across. The Bulls 14, the Cavaliers 2. Williams getting good position and then drew the foul.
Well, Hot Rod Williams just has such a size advantage over Scottie Pippen. What they're doing is taking Doherty, moving him outside, and now their post-up guy will be Hot Rod to see if they can get Scottie in foul trouble or draw that double team and then kick out to their open perimeter guys.
Non-shooting foul. 5 minutes gone by in this first quarter. Grant jumping out to help on Price. Nance with the open shot. And the Bulls all over the board. There's Paxson for 3. The Bulls 17 and the Cavaliers 2.
This is not to say that Cleveland's not ready to play this afternoon, but the Bulls have taken their game and elevated it early to a different level. They are way above the rim rebounding. They're out in transition, filling the lanes. There's great movement quickness in the Bulls this afternoon.
Doherty for Williams, and he's fouled. Pippen got him from behind. The Bulls continue to effectively double and triple up on Brad Doherty. So Hot Rod Williams to the free throw line.
Brad Doherty knows that when the ball is in his hands, he commands a double team. If they can establish one other player down low that also commands that double team, it should eventually open up the Mark Price, Craig Elo perimeter game. But the Bulls have made a decision here today that Mark Price is not getting off early. They are chasing him. If he comes off screens, they're stepping out, doubling him early. They want him to have a real tough afternoon.
Cleveland Cavaliers are the second best free throw shooting team in the NBA, right behind the Boston Celtics. Here's Paxson. The Bulls
Bulls 19 and the Cavaliers 2. So while Cleveland has hit only 1 of 9 from the field, the Bulls 7 for 10. A long time between field goals for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
And that was a very difficult shot. Price had to make that over Horace Grant, who had stepped out off the screen to help his teammate.
Cartwright. The Chicago Bulls on fire. They now lead it 21-4. Back in Game 2 on Thursday in the first quarter, the Cavaliers led the Bulls in one stretch 20-6. Here's Jordan with the steal. And he's fouled by Elo. Nearly hit. Despite the fact that Elo grabbed him.
Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen were named to the all-defensive team in the NBA. Michael Jordan does it a number of ways. He can play you straight up. He can get that hand in there for the flick, or he can block shots. Loves to do it from behind. And then when he's out in front, all you can do is hope to hold and hang on.
And there you see the NBA's 1992 all-defensive team. Dumars and Jordan in the backcourt. The Bulls 23 and the Cavaliers 4. Just under 5 minutes to go. In this first quarter, it has been all Chicago. Doherty getting inside. Jordan met by Nance. Jordan went to the left hand. Jordan looks to get it out. Crowd wanted a travel. Michael Jordan. Last touch by Cleveland. Here's John Battle inserted by Lenny Wilkins. Cavaliers looking for some instant offense. He replaces Craig Elo.
And John Battle, part of the normal regular season rotation, did not play in Game 1 of the playoffs. Lenny Wilkins wanted to go with Mike Sanders as a big guard. Went back to him in Game 2.
Oh, what a move by Grant. Third opportunity he's able to hit. Horace Grant, a one-man show on that sequence. The Bulls 25, the Cavs 4. Pippen accelerates, and he was fouled. Now we've reached a situation where the Cavaliers are getting some decent shots, but not able to hit.
And getting the extra effort, not from just Michael Jordan or Scottie Pippen. You can see each one of the starters for the Chicago Bulls determined to come out here early this afternoon and take control of this basketball game. And it's obvious by the score that they are in sync, on top of their game.
Foul committed by Hot Rod Williams. Scottie Pippen off to a very nice start. 4 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. He's 2 of 3 from the foul line. The Bulls 26. The Cavaliers 4. Just under 4 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Being played by Jordan. Paxson hit the floor. And the foul is called on Chicago. Away from the ball. It's on Pippen, his second.
Underneath the basket, away from the ball, picking up the foul.
Now the crowd getting impatient with the Cavaliers' offense. Battle. Had it knocked away, and it touched the top of the backboard. Last contact made by Jordan, so the Cavaliers get a new 24.
And the concern has to be, how do we make up 22 points quickly when we're down this much in the first quarter? Well, it starts with defensive stops for Cleveland, and then you must get on the glass and defensive rebound and get some transition scores. being out-rebounded 14-2 at this point in the basketball game. Chicago dominating the glass.
Cavaliers 2 of 13 from the field. Cliff Levingston has checked in for the first time, and Price hits the three. Mark Price from downtown. The Bulls lead 26-7.
And you can see Horace Grant step out and challenge Mark Price, but he just got there a little bit too late.
Jordan off the spin. Michael Jordan over John Battle. Bulls 28, Cavaliers 7.
Once they recognize that Battle was matched up against Jordan, they feel he gives up too many inches and not strong enough to guard Jordan. They went to their isolation. Michael backed them down, shot over the top.
Here's Doherty going to the hook, and he's fouled by Cartwright. Cartwright called for his second. Chicago with a 28-7 advantage.
A moment ago on defense, Chicago knows that Doherty likes to come to the middle of the floor. Normally you trap from here, or you trap from here, or you trap from here. But taking a page out of last year's book, they've gone back to their old defense. They're going to try and make him turn baseline and put him in a double team, a la what they did to Magic Johnson a year ago. Trapping from the baseline for Chicago.
Standing ovation from this capacity crowd, 20,000 plus, trying to get the home team back into it. Mike, I know you were curious. As you look at the scoreboard, you see the Cavaliers with only 7 points, the fewest points in the first quarter of an NBA playoff game. 8 by Utah against the LA Lakers, May 8th, 1988. Mr. Stats, Elliot Cal, checking the record books in feverish fashion. So that will stand as the Cavaliers now have 9 points.
And now Cleveland extending their defense, trying to keep the ball out of John Paxson's hands, make somebody else bring it up. Perhaps they can force a few turnovers, use up some time off that clock. But they've got to get the basketball back so they have an opportunity to get some scores.
Jordan putting the move on Battle. And the Cavaliers usually go one-on-one with Michael Jordan. They have not doubled up. Here's Price. That's his third field goal. He has 7.
A little bit of what you would call a hurry-up offense that time. In transition after the Chicago score, just set a screen for Price in transition and let him try and get a shot.
Well, Hot Rod Williams did leave his man, Horace Grant, to try and help out on Jordan, and Grant was able to hit the jumper.
I never got a chance to get back to that point, Mark, but they made an adjustment from game 1 to game 2 and how they were going to play Jordan on the pick-and-roll situations. They know they need help there.
Nice pass, Williams. Not able to hit, but he was pushed by Grant. And Hot Rod Williams will go back to the line. Minute 43 to go in this first quarter, and the Bulls lead 32-11. They've changed the foul. It's Levingston, not Grant. Williams missed his first 2 from the line. And here's Mike Sanders replacing Larry Nance, who was very quiet in this first quarter.
Mark, for Cleveland in game number 1, when they struggled against Chicago, Brad Daugherty was limited to only 13 field goal attempts. In game 2, when they dominated Chicago, Daugherty was the focal point. They need to get the ball into his hands. So far, only 3 shot attempts this game.
Michael Jordan has 14, so he has come out in furious fashion in this opening quarter. Twice blocked by Paxson. John Paxson collecting his first.
And this looks very similar to what Michael Jordan did in game number 7 against New York. Made a decision to come out, lead his team by example, dominate the first quarter of play. He's taken over.
Michael Jordan, 5 out of 8 from the field, 4 for 4 from the line for his 14 points. Mark Price, the #1 free throw shooter in the NBA. Here's B.J. Armstrong replacing John Paxson, who leads with 5 points. Mark Price was just under 95% at the line. Second best in NBA history, next to Calvin Murphy's 95.8 back in the 1980-81 season. Jordan. And Armstrong. The Bulls have been on almost every loose ball here in the first quarter.
Well, coming into this game, a 37-24 advantage for Chicago on the offensive glass. Part of the reason because Cleveland is such a good shot blocking team, they're not able to box out as well.
Offensive foul charge to Jordan.
You know, the fans eventually get tired of seeing Michael Jordan beat up the team by himself, so any advantage that he tries to get, like a forearm in the face, they love it.
Mark Price trying to shoot the Cavaliers back into it. He's hit his last 3. He has 11. The Bulls with a 34-16 lead. Cartwright set the pick. Cartwright open. Price checked the clock. Down to 20 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
Game number 2 ended. The end of the first quarter with Cleveland up 30-14. Here we are now. Tables turned a little bit, 34-16 as the clock runs down. 34-18.
Final seconds of the quarter. Jordan for 3. Yes! Michael Jordan concluding the first quarter by hitting the three-pointer after 1 here at the Coliseum. The Bulls 37 and the Cavaliers 18. Michael Jordan finishing with 17 points for this first quarter as Michael was able to line drive it home right on target.
All right, Ahmad Rashad back here at the Richfield Coliseum, and I'm now joined by Mark Price's father, Denny Price. And Denny, Mark led the league in free throw percentage, and he credits that all to you.
Well, I used to get on the NBA when we watch the games and say, guy making that much money ought to be able to make a free throw. So I think that he decided to work on it.
And it carried over. He's making that much money, and he's making free throws.
Right.
All right, thanks for joining me, Dennis. Mark.
All right, Ahmad, and Mark Price also the NBA's all-time leading playoff free throw shooter at 94%. Price gives it up to Williams. Last touch by Chicago. Dick Bavetta makes the call as we get started in the second quarter. The Bulls with a 37-18 lead on the Cavaliers. Cleveland shot only 6 of 17 in the first quarter, while Chicago 14 of 23, 61%. Here's Sanders, rebounded by Doherty. Yes, and it counts.
Well, if they can just get the big guy going, it might be one of the big reasons this game turns around a little bit in Cleveland's favor. Offensive rebounds, layups, free throws, whatever it takes to get them off.
Doherty completing the three-point play. Bulls now with a 37-21 lead. Cavaliers went 2 of their first 13 from the floor and then hit their last 4 to close out the first quarter. Beautiful pass. That won't count. The pass was a gorgeous one from Pippen. Jordan not able to hit, and then offensive interference was called.
Dick Bavetta saying that the basketball was in the cylinder when it was touched, therefore he takes the basket away.
In the first quarter, Chicago out-rebounded Cleveland, an astounding 16-3. Doherty drawing the double team, and his pass picked off. Foul committed by Price.
And again, that time because Doherty saw the double team coming along the baseline. But a moment ago, when the shot went up on the rim and Cartwright fouled, if it's in the cylinder when he touches it, it's no good. That time, Bavetta felt that the bounce was up and down. Even with the iron, took the basket away.
And Bill Cartwright able to hang in. He's gone all the way. Starting the game, he was a question mark because of a strained lower back. Played only 6 minutes in Game 2 on Thursday night. Pippen with the open shot. Nice ball movement by the Bulls, and they lead 39-21.
Well, first, Cartwright's still on the floor because they don't want to sit him down and let that back tighten up where he has a problem with it. The double team of Michael Jordan produces an open shot for Scottie Pippen, and the way he makes those perimeter shots, you got to make some tough decisions on whether to play Jordan straight up or not.
Brad Daugherty now 1 of 5 from the field. Armstrong and Jordan in the backcourt. Cartwright with Pippen and Grant up front. Pippen, yes. Scottie Pippen with 9. Bulls 41 and the Cavaliers 21.
Well, 2 possessions ago, Pippen knocks it out from the right corner. They come right back and run a play for him to get a 15-foot jumper, and he knocks the next one down.
B.J. Armstrong called for the foul. Here's Craig Elo returning. And a timeout being taken. The rookie Terrell Brandon about to check in, led by Michael Jordan, who has 17. The Bulls lead by 20. The Western Conference Final will continue as you look at the brackets, bringing Portland and Utah together with the winner, of course, to go against the winner between Cleveland and Chicago in the NBA Championship. And we'll be on hand starting at 3 p.m. Eastern Time with Bob Costas, Clint Buckner, and the crew with Showtime, 12 noon Pacific. The Jazz with a rally to beat the Blazers last night, 97-89, to make it a 2-1 lead on the best of 7 for Portland. How about Karl Malone? 39 points to lead the way.
But a big 18-point turnaround for the Jazz. Down by 10, turn around and wind up winning by 8.
Craig Elo with his second bucket. It's the Bulls 41 and the Cavaliers 23 with 2:20 gone by in the second. Marv Albert with the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello, along with Ahmad Rashad from the Coliseum in Richfield. Good defensive sequence by the Cavaliers. Daugherty reaching over and knocked it out of bounds.
Because Chicago has so many active bodies, it's difficult right now for Cleveland to get a clean defensive rebound and start some type of transition game. But the objective here is, with over 9 minutes remaining, chip away, get this thing down by halftime to a manageable score, and then regroup in the second half.
Larry Nance is back. Brad Daugherty got off to the slow start, sitting down. Will Perdue has checked in for the first time. Jordan. And rebounded by Brandon. Well, Brandon, the rookie from Oregon, has played well during the playoffs. Crowd wanted Elo to take the shot. There's Sanders for Williams. And he'll go to the line.
Just a little bit of willingness to share the basketball and make the extra pass will produce high percentage shot. Sanders had Jordan posted up down low, was calling for the basketball, thought he could pick up a quick foul. Jordan knew he was in danger, went for the steal, missed. A good rotation comes over, but then the next pass produces the free throw opportunities for Hot Rod.
And Hot Rod is now 1 of 5 from the line. He's a 74% free throw shooter.
The battle fatigue worn yesterday after practice by Hot Rod. We were wondering if this was trying to create a certain attitude for this afternoon's game within the locker room.
Bulls lead it 41-24. And the Bulls continue their mastery off the board. B.J. Armstrong was turned back. Pippen with the steal. Took it from Sanders. Armstrong, rebounded by Brandon.
Well, perhaps Brandon has told the big guys, you put a body on and keep them off, I'll go get the basketball on the defensive glass.
Well, Brandon, a first-round draft pick, was 5'11", 180 pounds. Nance, and the Cavalier shooting problems continue. Greg Hodges for Will Perdue. Back come the Cavaliers. Here's Nance. Whoa!
One of the surprising statistics in this series, Cleveland led the NBA this year in block shots for a team. But in this particular series, Chicago more block shots than the Cavaliers.
Pippen does not like the pressure from Sanders, and then met by Nance, and the foul call. That's the first committed by Nance.
Initially, Scottie Pippen looking up at Jake O'Donnell as if to say, hey, Jake, blow the whistle. I need some help here. One guy in the league you don't tell how to officiate the game is Jake O'Donnell. He's the best. He's going to do it his way.
Grant with the pass for Pippen, broken up by Sanders.
Sanders just getting that hand in there in time to reduce the swipe.
Mike Sanders, waived by the Indiana Pacers back in November, was spending most of his time. That foul called on Grant, sending Elo to the floor. Phil Jackson sensing a turn of events, calling for time. It's a 15-point Chicago lead. Cleveland, though, showing some signs. Well, Thursday night in Chicago in Game 2, the Bulls were clobbered by the Cavaliers 107-81, raising many eyebrows around the country. We talked about it with Scottie Pippen.
Well, we're just not as hungry as we were last season, definitely. But, I mean, when we get together and we talk and we go out and play the way that we normally would play, we're fine. But we're just not playing as hard as we were a year ago. And it's hard to pinpoint and say what it is.
I think it takes a champion and a championship team to recognize when they're not playing it with the same level of intensity, and then they go about correcting it as they've done so far this afternoon.
Obvious miscommunication between the Cavaliers, upset with themselves and wasting a possession. Scott Williams has come on for the first time for Chicago. Pippen with the spin on Sanders, and it's picked off. He tried to hit Williams, who was breaking for the basket.
Well, with this group on the floor for Chicago, as Brandon pulls up and takes an ill-advised jump shot, with this group, this is the opportunity for Cleveland to cut into that 15-point lead and make up some ground while Chicago is resting the majority of their starters.
Yes, the only starter on the floor is Pippen. Michael Jordan sitting down, getting the rest. Shot clock at 5. Pippen. Scottie Pippen with the bucket, and he was fouled.
And that's exactly the reason why Phil Jackson always leaves either Scottie Pippen or Michael Jordan on the floor when he goes to his bench. He expects one of these two people to be the leaders, lead by example. That's where their points are going to come from in most cases. And then when the defense tries to stop the stars, that's where the other players step up and do what they do best. Hodges, the three-point shooter. BJ, terrific open shooter. Paxson, etc.
Foul committed by Nance. Pippen having an excellent first half. 5 rebounds, 3 assists, along with the 11 points. 6.5 remaining. Second quarter. And it will be Chicago ball.
Defensive rebounding. On the free throw line, Chicago gets its share of misses back, and since they're not shooting the ball real well from the foul line, you've got to pay extra special attention to get a body on, and a deep body, so the ball can't bounce out over your head like the last rebound just did.
Brad Daugherty has returned. Good play. The pressure by Nance creating the turnover. Price setting up Larry Nance. Yes. Chicago 43 and Cleveland 28. Pretty feed from Pippen to Williams.
The offense goes through Scottie Pippen. He led this team for the regular season in assists. Michael Jordan was second. John Paxson, considered to be the point guard, plays a different role with this basketball team.
Like clock ball, 2:24 being provided for Cleveland.
The skills of being able to put it on the floor, turn the corner, and then make a feed pass for a score. Tremendous ability by Scottie Pippen.
Michael Jordan is back, replacing B.J. Armstrong. Armstrong did not score, and Craig Elo comes back to match up with Jordan. Terrell Brandon sitting down. Brad Daugherty has not been able to get into it to this point. Only 1 for 5 from the field. Daugherty with the fake on Purdue. Met by Williams. Crowd looking for a foul. Nothing called. Here's Craig Hodges. And the loose baseball foul charged to Purdue.
Well, the officials felt that Doherty took the ball into the defensive player. The rotation's there. Also, the body contact is there. Definitely a foul.
This first half. Chicago with a blistering start. Nance with his third field goal. He's hit his last three. And the Cavaliers now have cut it to a 15-point lead. Chicago has led by as many as 23. They were up by the score of 34-11. Pippen lost it. Here's Doherty. For Brad Doherty, showing his quickness.
Brad Doherty has done that at least one time in each basketball game against Chicago. He feels that he can outrun any one of the centers on the Bulls team and pick up an easy score every now and then.
Williams with the recovery. Oh, what a shot. He went to the left hand with the shot clock down to 1.
Well, nowhere to go. Let me get up on the rim and hope for the best.
Price with the pass that is picked off and a foul call. Foul on Sanders, his third.
Doherty runs the floor as well as any big man in the league. Loves to finish at the end with the dunk, and whether it's Cartwright, Will Purdue, King, he feels that he can get down there, and if Mark Price, with that great outside range, just pulls up and looks at the front of the rim, the defense has to extend out to him. It opens up that lane for Doherty.
And Brad Doherty with a 28.9 rebound game Thursday in Chicago. .4:15 remaining in this first half. Jordan with the head fakes. Elo gets help from Williams. Jordan finding Purdue. Will Purdue able to convert off the good pass from Michael Jordan.
And there's the complete game of Michael Jordan. The blind double team comes, he feels it, he elevates, and then finds an open teammate.
Price finding Williams. Hot Rod Williams missing another layup. Leading 49-32. Alley-oop for Purdue did not work. Price for three. And Scott Williams able to rebound. Mark Price on Thursday hit 4 out of 5 from three-point land. Jordan and Hodges now in the backcourt. Pippen, Purdue, and Williams up front. Doherty with the box out. Nance for Williams. Stuffed and tied up. Hot Rod Williams tied up by Scott Williams. Official timeout. And a timeout taken by the Cavaliers. Chicago by 17. Chicago with a 17-point advantage on Cleveland with just under 3 minutes to go in the second quarter.
A few moments ago, to show the great court awareness of Michael Jordan, he draws 3 defensive players from the other team, but Will Purdue finds the open spot, and then only Jordan has the ability against 3 to know where his teammates are and make the right pass.
And we resume with a jump ball. Scott Williams with the block on John Hot Rod Williams. Controlled by Doherty. Price and Elo in the backcourt. Doherty up front, along with Nance and Williams. Hodges guarding Price. Rebounded by Scott Williams, who has come on and done an excellent job off the board.
Well, he's a factor on the glass. He's a factor at the defensive end by challenging and blocking shots, and then that's that big, wide body of his setting screens to open up the scorers for Chicago.
Scott Williams, in his second year from North Carolina, signed last season as a free agent. Here's Paxson, who just returned. John Paxson with his third field goal. He has 7. The Bulls 51, the Cavaliers 32.
I think most point guards would like to have the job of just kind of float to an open spot, and eventually some guy named Jordan's going to throw you the ball, and you got about 8 seconds to set up and shoot it.
Will Perdue is called for the foul, and John Williams back to the line. That's 3 on Perdue.
If Cleveland continues to draw double teams and will make the pass and then take it strong to the glass, they'll have opportunities to pick up points with the clock stopped. And that's most important for them as they try and close the deficit before the half.
Phil Jackson about to insert Stacey King, who was in and out of the lineup against the Knicks in the previous series because of a bout with the flu. So rather than go back to Bill Cartwright, who started despite the strained back, and as you mentioned earlier, you don't want to bring him off the bench and then have to replace him in and out where that back can stiffen up. He goes to Stacey King for Purdue after Purdue picked up his third. Bulls lead 51-34. Chicago opened up a 19-2 lead at the start. Here's Jordan with the step. Rebound Jordan. And he is fouled. The Cavaliers went some 4.5 minutes in the first quarter without a field goal as they had their shooting problems early.
They spread the floor, let Jordan take Elo one-on-one. It's basically a 1-4 offense, and Michael Jordan's eyes light up when he sees that spread open court, knowing that Elo just does not have the foot speed quickness to guard him in a one-on-one situation.
Elo was called for his second foul. That's the first point of the second quarter for Jordan, who sent out a good portion. He had 17 in the first quarter. Michael Jordan presented with his third Most Valuable Player award earlier this week. Only the 7th player in NBA history to be named MVP for 3 years or more. Chicago going with some light pressure. 1:40 remaining in this first half. By Williams. Shot clock at 5. Shot clock at 2. So Nance had to shoot it. Rebounded by Doherty. Rebounded by Brandon. Oh, what a play by, I should say, Battle. John Battle with a terrific play getting inside. And the Bulls now lead 53-36.
The crowd getting a little restless because they want Cleveland to hurry up and get shots up there. But they have to realize there are no 17-point plays out there. It doesn't happen that way. You've got to come back a little bit at a time.
Michael Jordan bobbled by Nance. It'll be Cleveland ball. Bulls thought there should have been a foul. Jordan has missed his last 5 field goal attempts. 50 seconds remaining in the half. Battle guarded by Paxson. Does it off the dribble. And Jake O'Donnell with the call. It's on Greg Elo.
For the last 5 misses by Michael Jordan, perhaps some of the effects of the virus that had bothered him. He came out with the early burst of energy, but as the game goes on, will it take his toll and wear him down? Are those legs going to go little by little as we move into the second half of play?
Scott Williams to the line. 3 fouls apiece now on Elo and Sanders. Williams only a 64% free throw shooter during the regular season. Seconds left in the half. The Bulls 55, the Cavaliers 36.
As soon as they make a free throw, they take the ball out of Price's hands, hope to force turnovers, which they got that time down the floor. The team defense, the extended defense of the Bulls, forcing Cleveland to do something that they really don't want to do. Mark Price is the one that directs this show.
Greg Hodges came up with that steal, and the Bulls playing the clock. 6 on the 24. Jordan able to whip by Elo.
Same thing. Spread offense defense, 1-4, put Jordan in the middle against Elo, and that's a nightmare if you're the defender, having to play him one-on-one out there.
And now Elo draws the foul. He's blocked by Williams with 6 seconds remaining in the half.
And Scott Williams doesn't agree with it, but that one wasn't even close. Williams slides way over after Elo was airborne, and there's the body contact.
Greg Elo only a 70% free throw shooter. And the Cavaliers, usually an excellent free throw shooting team, having some problems here this afternoon. Final seconds of the half. And Jordan had it knocked away. So halftime at the Coliseum in Richfield in Game 3 of this best of 7 Eastern Conference Final. Michael Jordan leading the way, 7 for 15, 21 points. And the Bulls lead by 20. Chicago 57 and Cleveland 37. Mark Price leading the Cavs with 11. Brad Daugherty with only 7. Coming up, Bob Costas with the Prudential halftime report.
Game 3, the Bulls lead the Cavs by 20, 57-37. Bob Costas back in New York along with Quinn Buckner. Obviously, this is a complete reversal of Game 2 when the Cavs jumped on the Bulls in Chicago, the visiting team doing it on the other's home floor. Look at the scores of the first and second quarter of Game 2. The Cavs were up by 26 as they went to the locker rooms, and it was all but over. The Cavs made a mild move. I think they got back within 15 after the Bulls were up 19-2 and then 22-4, something like that. But at the half, it becomes a 20-point differential. And even more importantly, you could hear the way that crowd was in the game. Marv and Mike could barely be heard when they first came on the air over the sound of the crowd at the Richfield Coliseum, and Michael and company just took them right out of it.
Well, I think the point you make is a very good one. Michael Jordan, you don't tell a guy like Michael Jordan, if you have a cold, you should have stayed home. This is what Craig Elo said. And Michael Jordan came out to prove that he had something to do this afternoon. And obviously he got started with the 21 points. But more importantly, Bill Cartwright did play, and he's the only one that's able to keep Brad Daugherty off the block. Brad only 2 for 7. He had 2 for 8. He had 9 points. But the other thing the Bulls are really doing, they're starting to pass the ball, and you've got to be able to find some people. The most important thing you need to do is be concerned about rotation. Michael Jordan will recognize right now the double team. This spot will open up and has to be defended, as well as this one. And then you have to knock down the shots. Michael Jordan scoring so well, forced the double team. B.J. Armstrong with an opportunity. He swings it right over to Scottie Pippen, knocking down the shot. So those are the things you have to be able to do. And the Bulls did that very well. The other thing, Scottie Pippen is coming with the basketball. He's very aggressive with the basketball today. The defense does not get back to protect this area. When a guy like Scottie Pippen starts going, he can cause problems. Right here, Hot Rod Williams comes to get him. Help comes from Nance. Now you get Williams in the game, Scott Williams. So you get everybody involved, but you don't tell Michael Jordan, if you're sick, you should stay home. Not a good idea.
Well, the point you were making also about Cartwright, it isn't that he can play Daugherty straight up that well. Nobody can. And it isn't guaranteed that he's going to be able to continue doing this. But on the right day or night, what Cartwright can do is he can deny Daugherty that position. And the other centers that the Bulls have aren't strong enough to do it.
Well, not only are they not strong enough, Bob, they force a double team. And if you double team that you have in Brad Daugherty, one of the best passing centers in all of basketball. And if he swings the ball, you'll see that all of the Cavs can knock down the shot. But you're absolutely right. Neither one of the other guys can keep Daugherty off the block the way that Bill Cartwright can.
Okay, Bulls 57, Cavaliers 37. And up next, Quinn's visit with a terrific twosome of the Utah Jazz, Karl Malone and John Stockton, after this message from Prudential and a word from the NBA. Malone and John Stockton, and Quinn Buckner visited with them earlier this week.
In the city of Salt Lake, they dream of an NBA championship. Utah is blessed with a dynamic duo second to none. Point guard John Stockton and power forward Karl Malone are two very separate people interacting with an uncanny sense of what the other can do. One led the NBA in assists. The other was second in scoring. You and John Stockton are as good as anybody in the league. What makes you guys click? Do you have some sixth sense about where you're going to be, how you're going to get the ball?
We don't do a lot of talking during the game, saying, hey, I'm going to be here, I'm going to be there. And we just go out and play. And it's me trusting him, and he's trusting me. And sometimes we make mistakes, but then sometimes we make it happen, and it look really great.
Stockton left to right. Carl rolls in. They go to the mailman. Hammered up.
He's a tremendous player down that block and running the floor. He makes himself so available. Making the pass oftentimes is very easy. Plus, he's got tremendous hands. He can catch anything you throw anywhere near him.
Great pass. Laying up and in. The mailman.
Probably if you was picking a team, you know, just Sandlot basketball, if you probably overlook him if you didn't know who he was, because he couldn't play.
Warriors 3-on-2. Stockton steals the crossover.
They grew up in opposite corners of the country. Stockton was raised in Spokane, Washington, and despite his size and youthful appearance, learned the game quickly.
He was always the smallest guy on the floor, and they really couldn't post you up. They couldn't do anything productive with you, so they put you on the side and said, go ahead and dribble for a while, kid. And so I dribbled it around and kept throwing to the big guys. I'd sneak down to the college gym and I tried to get in those games as I got older. And if you kept passing to the big guys, they kept picking you.
Karl Malone was a self-professed outdoorsman in his native Louisiana. His desire to own and drive his own truck was much stronger than a career in basketball.
I played basketball because my brothers and sisters played. And I was like the younger boy growing up, so I supposed to keep playing because pretty much all the Malones played.
One sure way to tell this tandem apart is their on-court demeanor. Malone is always the showman, while Stockton remains reserved, the consummate floor leader.
It's nice to have a steadying influence when everybody wants to get up and cheer. The fans are excited. It's a big win, a big basket. I guess it's good to have an equal amount of people on the floor that are just thinking about the next play and trying to keep everything into perspective.
I feed probably off the crowd and off my teammates. And if I do something pretty decent, I like to be acknowledged to some degree to get me to do something else. You know, and Stockton's one of those guys, he just go out and play. And a lot of times he'll come to me and say, hey, you need to do something to get us going, you know?
It's become obvious that you usually can't mention Stockton without mentioning Malone. One sets him up, and the other knocks them down.
We just act off instinct, and it look easy, but it's really not. I don't think we go out there with the idea that, hey, we're probably one of the top 1-2 punches in the league, and I don't know if that's good or bad, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
What about the matchups in this series with the Trailblazers, of course, up 2-1 in Game 4 set for tomorrow afternoon? You've got Porter, who's stepped his game up in the playoffs, even though he had an off night last night. Generally speaking, he's been tremendous. So he's going against Stockton. And Buck Williams, underrated his whole career with both New Jersey and the Trailblazers, trying to contend with the mailman.
Well, it's a tremendous matchup, I think, because what you're talking about, the real point is Buck Williams is able to play Karl Malone a little bit better, but Stockton played, I thought, Porter better last night. But what I like about these two guys, and for our Olympic team, I think this is really important because you don't have a lot of time to prepare to play against the international teams. These two guys instinctively know where each other will be, and with Stockton, you know you've got a guy that can control the tempo. So I think they're a very valuable asset that we have for our Olympic team, and obviously the Utah Jazz are pleased to have them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Chuck Daly is going to have them on the floor at the same time, just as they are with the Jazz. They'll probably be on the floor simultaneously almost all the time.
Well, I think that can be. I think it'll be the case. Excuse me, Bob. And the reason you mentioned is very important. But I also think that John Stockton is a good enough player that he can run anybody's basketball team. He has this ability to understand what has to be done and when it needs to be done. And not many players in this game really know how to do that.
Okay, we'll come back now with second half action. The Bulls lead the Cavs by 20 at the Richfield Coliseum. And we'll turn it back over to Marv Albert and Mike Fratello after these messages from your local station.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by the companies of the Prudential. In a changing world, one thing remains rock solid: the Prudential.
Coliseum in Richfield, the Bulls with a 57-37 lead on the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Chicago Bulls came out today the way they came out against the Knicks last Sunday in that seventh game in Chicago. They were going at just a furious pace.
Well, perhaps as Scottie Pippen mentioned to us earlier, that there's something this team is missing right now. We're not up the same way as we were a year ago. They need challenges. They need something to motivate them, and perhaps the scare in the last game was enough to get them ready for for today.
Well, they opened up with a 19-2 lead. A look at the shooting in the first half. Today's Miller Genuine Draft halftime stats. The Bulls 22 of 41, 54%. The Cavaliers improving to 34%. They went through almost a 5-minute stretch without scoring a field goal.
Well, if you're Lenny Wilkens, you're talking about defense, and against this guy in particular, Michael Jordan, who had a terrific first half with 21 points. You're talking about rebounding, where they're out-rebounded 25-11, and then let's get Daugherty involved in the offense.
And for more on the Cleveland Cavaliers, let's go over to Ahmad, who is with Cavalier coach Lenny Wilkens.
All right, thanks, Marv. Lenny, I guess one of the things that has to concern you is getting Brad Daugherty more involved.
Well, if they're coming back and double teaming, what we have to do is a better job of spacing and make some shots. If we make some shots, then Brad will get more involved. But we're shooting 34%, and we're really not moving the ball that well.
All right, good luck to you in the second half, Coach. All right, back to you, Marv.
Thanks, Ahmad. Daugherty only 2 of 8 in the first half. Played 22 minutes with only 7 points. We'll be back in a moment. Only 8 first quarter, only 19 in the second, down by 20 as we head to the second half. Michael Jordan with 21. He had 17 in the first quarter. Scottie Pippen with an outstanding all-around game, 11 points for Pippen. Mark Price with 11 to lead the Cavaliers. And Daugherty only 2 of 8 for his 7 points.
One number that really jumps out at you in the first half, Chicago 22 points in the paint, up close to the rim. Cleveland only 12. And with that front line of Nance, Williams, and Daugherty, you would think that maybe the Cavs would try and shove it down their throats. And then obviously, as Lenny said, when the pass is kicked out, they've got to knock down some shots.
Nance, yes.
There it is. The double team on Daugherty, the pass out to Nance. He makes the opening shot. It seems simple, but that's what it's about.
Pippen pressured by Sanders, Paxson, and Jordan in the backcourt. Pippen, Cartwright, and Grant up front. Grant trying to return it. Shot clock at 6. Pippen, oh! Cavaliers have a 3-on-1. Price giving it back to Sanders. Tipped home by Daugherty.
Chicago asking for the same offensive goaltending call that was called against Bill Cartwright in the first half.
Bulls 57, Cavaliers 41. We're just underway in the third. Jordan been on a switch, finding Grant. Right fronting Daugherty. Daugherty off the fake.
Cleveland went to a little bit different set that time, so the double teams weren't as easy for Chicago to come after Daugherty.
And Pippen able to get to it. Michael Jordan. Able to get back.
And you saw Paxson move right up outside the three-point line, so Price could not pull up and take the sudden three-point attempt.
Nance. Well, the Cavaliers have had their opportunities here at the start of the third. Crowd looking for a foul. No call made. Elo attempting to draw the charge. Bulls lead 59-41.
Well, you mentioned it, if the Cavaliers, and it's if, they could have knocked out a few of those open shots, they'd be right back in this basketball game to start out the second half.
Greg Elo going high off glass. The Bulls lead by 16. And Pippen was blocked by Sanders.
Scottie Pippen out in the right lane, and then with the ability to put it down, Elo waiting for him. The crowd felt that he was there in plenty of time. They wanted the offensive foul call, and that's why the reaction on the next play, which is just a small hand check, in their opinion.
Michael Jordan complaining because he thought he was fouled. Jordan had to go into his third option with that drive.
That's why he was hanging his third option.
Chicago leads by 18 points. Again, the single coverage. Now here comes Grant over to help. Elo for three. Yes. Greg Elo, an excellent three-point shooter, scoring on his first from three-point land today.
Elo shot over 41% for the three-point line during the regular season.
Dick Pavetta with the call against the Cavaliers. It's on Sanders. That is his fifth. And he'll be replaced by Hot Rod Williams. Lenny Wilkens likes Mike Sanders on the floor for his defensive play. I mentioned earlier he was waived by the Pacers back in November, was spending most of his time playing pickup ball at a health club in Indianapolis. Another foul called on Cleveland. It's on Hot Rod Williams. Mike Sanders, a one-time Cleveland Cavalier. This is his second go-around with the club in his 10th season out of UCLA. Seen service with San Antonio, Phoenix, Cleveland, Indiana, now back to Cleveland.
See, what hurts as a head coach, you go in at halftime and you talk to your team about getting pounded on the glass 25-11 like Cleveland did. So your team responds. They come out in the second half. They really go after it. They start cracking some bodies, and then you get a couple whistles that put guys on the bench.
Bulls lead it 62-46. 4 minutes gone by in the third. Nance trying to shake off Pippen. Rebound Williams. And Grant able to get to it. Pippen run into by Nance. That's 3 on Larry Nance.
That time the key was the defensive effort, the second and third jump, secure the basketball, and then the quick outlet pass, which got Pippen and Jordan out on the fast break for Chicago.
Like you mentioned, cracking bodies, things getting a little bit more physical here in the third quarter, not to the extent of a Knick or Detroit. There's Jordan able to beat Elo off the spin. Michael Jordan has 25 points.
Well, when all the things take place, like the marshmallow statements, etc., and then suddenly you find yourself down 20 at the half and 18 now here into the third quarter, you're going to bring up your emotional level because you know you're going to hear it again. Michael Jordan, when you catch him down low along the baseline, he has the ability to create and make something happen, and then obviously the ability to put it in the basket. If you give him baseline, you're asking for a headache.
Following the first game of this series, the Cavaliers were being referred to as marshmallows and cream puffs and nice guys, particularly coming off that hammering series between the Knicks and the Bulls, but many of the Cavs took exception to those labels, including coach Lenny Wilkens.
Certainly as a coach, it bothered me a little bit because I thought judgments were passed after one game. And, you know, to win 57 games, we had to do something right. The other thing is that we were being compared with New York. We're not New York. We're a different team. We still came out and played Cavalier defense. We didn't come out and play New York defense. I mean, we didn't have to throw someone down on the floor. You know, we could still be aggressive and play up and deny and do those type of things, you know, and still stick to our game.
The Cavalier defense is a different type of defense. They're a shot-blocking team. They're a team with great size and athleticism up front. They still defend, but in a different way than the New York Knicks, who use a more physical style of play.
Michael Jordan called for the foul. Here's Nance. That's a travel. Basket does not count.
That time the ball was delivered just a little bit too soon, too early. Nance had to take the extra step to get it to the rim.
Well, coming off that hammering series between the Knicks and Chicago, Horace Grant had said, referring to the series with Cleveland, what a pass from Jordan to Grant. And Horace was saying, you know, these are now games, meaning Cleveland versus Chicago. You can take your family to see. Several Bulls players said we're back to playing real basketball, not hockey or football. And that led to all the marshmallow statements. Here's Price. Yes. The Bulls with a 66-48 lead. It counts, and the foul. So Pippen will go to the line.
On the last possession for Chicago, they started with a little dribble handoff. Pippen to Jordan to try and force the switch, and then Michael with the reverse and the drop-off, getting his teammates involved. Next possession down the floor, the great concentration. The foul, eyes on the rim, off the glass, opportunity for a three-point play coming up for Scottie Pippen.
Third foul committed by Williams. John Battle is back. Battle and Price in the backcourt. Now they go three guards with Elo, Battle, and Price, along with Nance and Williams. Doherty sitting down. A 21-point lead for Chicago. Pippen has 16 points. Jordan, the high man, with 25. Price leading Cleveland with 13. Make it 16 as he hits the three. For Mark Price, that is his second three-point shot. Bulls 69, the Cavaliers 51. Halfway through the third. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad from the Coliseum in Richfield. And Michael Jordan continues his onslaught. He now has 27.
And Jordan gave him that fake as if he was going to his right shoulder because of the size difference. Battle had to respect it so much that then he just made his inside turn. It was all over.
Williams draws the foul.
And after Jordan had knocked out the shot, there's a fan up front taunting Jordan, talking to Battle about stopping Michael, and after he knocks it down, just to let the guy know that he means serious business, he sends a little message over to the front row spectators.
We have seen this in recent years of Jordan's career. He gets himself revved by fighting little mini battles along the way, be it Spike Lee in New York, who sits at courtside, and although he is very friendly with Jordan, is a diehard Knick fan, or just a fan along the way. Michael Jordan continues the conversation as the Bulls move to the front court.
It's a challenge for him. They say he's the best practice player in the NBA because he just loves the competition. He loves to compete. He loves to win.
Scottie Pippen has 18. And the Bulls have a 73-53 lead. 5.5 remaining, third quarter.
You might pass that off as a small statement, the best practice player in the NBA, but when your best player is your best practice player, it helps to bring the level of intensity up for all the players in the practices.
Elo and Jordan now having some words. They came together after that last basket. The intercept, and he was fouled by Cartwright, and things suddenly getting a little bit testy here.
Because the Cavalier players know that if this game ends this way, with them losing by 20, 25 points, that they don't want to get up and read the newspapers tomorrow morning.
22nd timeout has been called by Lenny Wilkins with 5 minutes, 3 seconds remaining in this third quarter, and the Bulls up by the count of 73-55. A reminder, tomorrow it'll be Portland and Utah with the Western Conference Final Series resuming here on NBC, starting at 3 o'clock Eastern Time with Showtime. And then Clyde Drexler and his Trailblazers going up against Karl Malone and the Utah Jazz. The Jazz winning last night at the Delta Center in Salt Lake City. So Portland now up 2 games to 1. This a game that opened up with the Bulls jumping to a 19-2 start. They led by as many as 23 in the first half. Cleveland could not hit a shot. They managed only 2 field goals out of their first 13. They've had a couple of runs, but they are still trailing by the big margin. Here's Williams. Hot Rod Williams has had a very long day. 1 for 6 from the field, 6 for 10 from the foul line.
If you're Cleveland right now and you're down 18 points with over 4 minutes remaining in the third quarter, you set mini goals for yourself. You go into your timeout and you say, look, let's get this thing down to a workable number. If we can cut it to 10 to 8 by the end of this quarter, we're in good shape to make a run in the fourth quarter.
5 on the 24. Pippen with the driving hook. Rebounded by Elo. Elo with the pull-up. Yes. 12 points for Craig Elo. The Bulls 73. The Cavaliers 57. Cavaliers staying with the matchup battle. Playing Jordan. Elo now on Pippen. Here is Jordan. Michael Jordan has 29. The Bulls extend to a 75-57 lead.
To cut this lead down to that manageable or workable number, you've got to stop him at the defensive end.
Here's Battle. It will be Chicago ball. Phil Jackson now has Paxson and Jordan in the backcourt with Pippen, Cartwright, and Williams up front, although, as usual, Pippen will handle the ball quite a bit.
Just a little different way to get the isolation created for Michael Jordan.
Paxson shooting. John Paxson has had the touch. He's hit on 4 out of 5. He has 9 points.
The Bulls started Michael Jordan on the low right side of the floor. The ball started on the left sideline, and then they just sent Cartwright after him on a diagonal screen to get him into the spot down low on ball side.
Conrad Williams not able to provide the finishing touch throughout the day. Set up on the pick and roll, but could not convert. Jordan, yes, 31 for Jordan. The Bulls 79 and the Cavaliers 57.
And that time after Michael knocked that jumper down, he talked to no one other than himself on the way back. Talking to himself about the fact that his shot is back.
Jordan called for the foul, and a timeout is taken by Chicago.
Vice President, General Manager Wayne Embry. Now, even though the Cavs are having a tough time right now, you had an excellent season, won 57 games, and one of the major reasons was your acquisition of Mike Sanders.
Well, Mike was released by Indiana, and he stayed there most of the season, and we were in search of someone that could come in and play the small forward for us, and when we had an injury to Craig Elo, it gave us an opportunity to bring someone in. Mike was the guy.
How do you explain the way this series is going back and forth like this?
Well, it's the playoffs. And things aren't looking good for us right now, but there's still time in this game, and it's going to be a long series.
All right, Wayne, thanks a lot for joining me.
Thank you.
All right, Marv.
Wayne Embry, Executive Vice President, General Manager of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and his days as a player, in particular with the Boston Celtics, referred to as Wide Wayne. Did not want to get in the way of one of his picks. Michael Jordan on fire. He has 33. Chicago is in 9 of its last 10 from the field.
And I think that Wayne Embry and the Cavalier organization should be given credit for the fact that during the tough seasons, which were only caused by the injuries of some of the key guys, they stayed with their nucleus. What they knew was eventually going to help them win a lot of basketball games. And it takes a lot of guts and credit to do that type of thing with the pressure that can be put on you by the public to get wins immediately. They were able to see down the road with some very good young basketball players.
Here's Nance, and he was hacked. Yes, last year the Cavs went 33-49, next to last in the Central. They went down when Mark Price suffered his knee injury, devastated by the loss of Price, and that injury had a domino effect that Craig Elo was forced into a starting role. Did not shoot well. Backcourt partner last year, Darnell Valentine, who was rescued from the Mexican Basketball League. And they had a host of injuries, and what a turnaround this season as they go 57-25, tied with Portland for the second best record behind Chicago.
You just continue to amaze me. Now you are covering the Mexican.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I'm told there is a spot there, though in a coaching mode. They're looking for someone with NBA experience and color commentary experience. You know anyone? Hot Rod Williams. So the Bulls lead at 81-63. And Williams fouled by Doherty. Brad Doherty committing his first.
Penalty situation.
An adjustment that Cleveland made was to get up on pick and rolls and be aggressive against Michael Jordan. Don't let him get a good look. The trap as he came off the last screen.
Scott Williams has 7 points. He would have to be considered as the unsung hero in today's game as Will Perdue checks back in. Here's Perdue up front with Williams and Grant. Scott Williams hitting 4 of 4 from the foul line. Bulls lead by 20.
When Phil Jackson began to use Scott Williams on a regular basis at the end of last season ahead of Stacey King in some very critical moments, he was asked why this, go with this rookie, and his answer was because we feel safe with him. He doesn't make many mistakes. He's very consistent in his play, and we have a lot of faith and confidence in him. So Phil Jackson played the guy that he felt safe with, and it's been very productive for the team.
And he really did come on during the playoffs, very effective in the championship series against the Los Angeles Lakers. Brad Doherty now 3 of 4 from the line. He was fouled by Will Perdue, who picked up his 4th. Only 10 points for Brad. No pressure by the Cavaliers, but Perdue able to work the baseline. 40 seconds remaining, third quarter. Brandon guarding Armstrong. Elo back on Jordan, able to slice his way through. Williams kept it alive. Scott Williams getting it back out.
And now Chicago will go to their spread attack. They'll put BJ out behind that three-point line, put Michael in the middle with the basketball. He'll try to take Elo off the dribble and then create a shot for the shooter, which is Armstrong, or take it himself.
Williams gets to it. Time is running down here in the third. Brandon delivers to Doherty. Brad Doherty also thought he was fouled. That's the end of 3. Michael Jordan with 12 of his 33 here in the third. And the Bulls up 83-66. We'll be back after these messages and a word from your local station. On to the fourth quarter, game 3 of the best of 7 Eastern Conference Final, and they are on their feet here at the Richfield Coliseum, trying to spark the Cavaliers, who trail 83-66. Michael Jordan 7 for 22. Scottie Pippen 4 of 14 back game 2 on Thursday, and both have dramatically turned it around here this afternoon. The Bulls led by Jordan, who has 33. Scottie Pippen with a superb all-around performance. Jordan found Perdue, and he was clobbered by Doherty.
Well, Lenny Wilkins mentioned at halftime that the one thing they had to do was shoot the basketball better, shooting only 34% at the half. At the end of 3 quarters, they have shot it just a little bit better, up to 40%.
Will Perdue to the line for the first time.
This Cleveland Cavalier team, normally during the regular season, 5th best shooting team in the NBA, just around 49%. But again, the Bulls defense, that quickness, the scrambling, they force you to take shots that you don't want to take, or they force you to hurry shots that you want to take.
Cavaliers with a backcourt of Brandon and Elo, Nance, Doherty, Williams up front. They double up on Doherty. Nance. Rebounded by Doherty. Took it out of the hands of Perdue. Bulls lead by 16. Jordan and Armstrong now at the guards. Purdue, Grant, Williams up front. Armstrong wide open. Once again, the Cavaliers with an opportunity to cut into that Chicago lead. Shot clock at 5. Brandon wide open. Yes. The Bulls 84. Cavaliers 70. And now Lenny Wilkens wants a couple of stops. Crowd back into it. Jordan. Rebounded by Williams. Brandon off the dribble. Yes. Phil Jackson wants to talk it over. The Cavaliers have moved within 12.
Genuine Draft presents Genuine Moments.
Today's Miller Genuine Draft Genuine Moment focuses on the shot by Michael Jordan that beat the Cavaliers in the 5th and decisive game to eliminate Cleveland back in the '89 Eastern Conference first round. Certainly a shot memorable to both the Chicago Bulls and the Cleveland Cavaliers as you look back in the history of the rivalry between these two franchises. In recognition of that great moment, Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. Well, the Bulls led by as many as 23. It is now down to a 12-point lead. Scottie Pippen extends to a 14-point margin. Bulls 86 and the Cavaliers 72.
A well-used timeout by Phil Jackson and the Chicago Bulls. Regroup, reorganize. Let's get a good shot for one of our superstars. And then Pippen knocks it out.
Greg Elo tried to throw the foul on Scott Williams, and Williams wanted to go at Elo and was held back by Jordan.
Well, some of the off-the-ball action is what started that body contact, the little pushes and shoves that you're not paying attention to because the ball's not there. Under the basket, with the baseline screens being set, there's the rest of the match, and then the takedown.
Foul on Williams, his third. Elo did draw the personal. Doherty able to get it back. Here's Brandon off the loose ball. And Grant with the rebound. Armstrong. Yes. The Bulls 88. The Cavaliers 72. 3 minutes have gone by in the fourth quarter. And a wet spot on the floor will be checked out by the officials.
Just a moment ago, the battle down low. Elo trying to set the baseline screen right there. The shove, the hold, and then the throw to the floor by Scott Williams. And then Williams trying to follow up. Little point of emphasis there.
Point of emphasis. A rookie from the University of Oregon, #1 draft pick, Terrell Brandon, receiving the playing time in the fourth quarter. He's played well.
As Brandon switched hands and tried to make the lefty layup, all it did is it could have been a 12-point deficit. Instead, back up to 16.
Shot clock at 1. Nance gets it away in time, and he drew the foul. A block charge to Pippen. That's the third on Pippen. Nance to the line. He is 2 of 2 from the foul line. Cavaliers 18 of 24 from their line. That's below their usual proficiency. The Bulls 88 and the Cavaliers 74. Game 4 of this series here at the Coliseum Monday afternoon. We'll be on hand to bring it to you starting at 3 Eastern time with Showtime. Jordan way off. Elo looking for the 3. Changed his mind. Williams, yes. Hot Rod Williams, who has not been hitting the shot, brings Cleveland within 12. Shot clock at 5. Here's Pippen. That's 2-point range. Scottie Pippen has 22.
And Cleveland once again knocking on the door. They have their opportunity. They play good enough defense to get that shot clock down inside 5 seconds, but then Pippen answers again with another perimeter jam.
Now Doherty working on Williams. Nice fake. Rebounded by Grant. Doherty 5 for 13. Pippen with the step and called for the traveling violation.
And Scottie Pippen grabbed the ankle, same one which he had injured. The right ankle of Scottie Pippen turned once again. Pippen goes left, makes the strong drive move, and now as he tries to elevate right there, the foot catches, he turns the ankle.
Pippen indicating to the Bulls bench that he is trying to hang in, look to walk it off. Hot Rod Williams getting it out to Craig Elo. Hits the three. 17 for Elo. That's his second from downtown. And Cleveland down by only 11. Last touch by Chicago. A timeout is being called with 6:48 remaining in the fourth, and the Bulls lead is down to 11. Your typical scene outside an NBA arena, sheep grazing outside the Coliseum here in Richfield.
Well, where are we? Sheep outside.
All right, let's go to Ahmad.
All right, Marv, well, you just saw Scottie Pippen twist that ankle just a while ago. I checked with Chip Schaefer, the trainer. He said that Scottie's all right, and as you can see, he's still in the game.
And the Cavaliers are very much back into the game. 6.5 remaining in the fourth. They've cut that 23-point lead down to 11. The shot clock is at 6. Out of 3. Not able to hit. It's rebounded by Pippen. And Pippen is fouled. We've seen very little of the Bulls operating in the open floor in the second half. That was a rare occurrence.
And Scottie Pippen certainly bouncing back from the earlier ankle injury, taking it off the glass, leading the fast break. To show you the concern of Phil Jackson for that run that the Cavaliers made, he brought Bill Cartwright back into the game, figuring that they were going to come out, go to Brad Daugherty, and try to make Chicago pay the price down low inside. He went to his best guy as far as post defense, biggest body that could match up against Daugherty. And that's with Cartwright with the bad back, sitting out a long number of minutes on the bench.
So Scottie Pippen hits 1 of 2. The Bulls 91. The Cavaliers 79. Mark Price has checked back in. Lenny Wilkins staying with Terrell Brandon. Brandon off the fake, gets it right back out. Price for 3. Rebounded by Nance and then knocked away, but a loose ball foul charge to the Cavaliers. It is on Cartwright.
And Mark Price looked over to Brandon and gave him a little nod and said, good idea, I just rushed the shot a little bit too much.
Third team foul committed by Chicago. Cleveland with 2. 6 minutes remaining in the fourth. Price using the screen, then goes back to Nance. Nance 5 for 14 from the field. The Cleveland front line is not shot well. Brandon able to pick it off. Been one of the sparks for the Cavaliers. Here in the fourth, it's down to a 10-point Chicago lead.
Well, what Lenny Wilkins has done by bringing Brandon in the game with Mark Price, you now have Price as the shooting guard, the spot-up guy. He's hoping that Brandon can dribble, penetrate, and kick it out for three. Instead, John Paxson sends his own three down.
And Paxson has 12. The Bulls lead 94-81. They double up on Price. 5 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Price was looking for Nance, cutting for the hoop. Williams with a wild shot. He thought he'd draw the foul.
It's a couple times this afternoon that Hot Rod Williams has made his move and just been a little out of control, not able to finish at the offensive end.
Look at the Cleveland front line shooting. Pippen stopped by Williams. Hot Rod 3 of 10. Doherty 5 of 13. Nance 5 of 14. B.J. Armstrong with his second field goal. He has 4 points. Timeout taken by the Cavaliers. The Bulls extend to a 15-point lead with 4:33 left in the fourth.
This is one of the loudest arenas in the NBA, and one of the reasons for all this noise is the Kosar family. I'm joined now by Bernie Kosar. Bernie, it's your mother's birthday. This is Jerry, and you forgot to tell the Cavs.
Well, we're eternal optimists here in a Kosar family, so we're still hoping for the best, Ahmad.
Well, all these loud people here, it's a little bit different than the Dog Pound. These people are a little more civilized, but it's loud.
It's the same enthusiasm as the Dog Pound.
All right, well, we wish the Cavs well, and happy birthday to you, Jerry. All right, Mark.
Thanks, Ahmad. Here's Nance with the driving hook. So the Bulls now lead 96-83. We approach 4 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. The closest the Cavaliers have been able to come. They moved within 10. They were down 91-81. They trailed by as many as 23. Nance with the steal. Cavaliers back to Price and Elo in the backcourt. Price able to work his way down. And Price gets to it on the follow, and he's hit by Grant. And that is number 5. Committed by Horace Grant for the Bulls, their 4th team foul. I mentioned a moment ago that the Cleveland front line has not done it. Combined 36% shooting for Nance, Doherty, and Williams. Elo trying to shake off Jordan. Williams, yes. So Hot Rod is in a couple from the outside, and Cleveland is now trailing by 11.
Right now, Cleveland needs to force a few turnovers, get a block shot, make something happen with his defense to get this thing down under the double-digit deficit that it's been most of the afternoon.
Would you repeat that?
Double-digit deficit, yes.
Michael Jordan has not scored here in the fourth quarter. He has 33 points in all, setting up Grant. Beautifully done by Jordan. Michael came out very strong, 17 points in the first quarter. The Bulls jumping to a 19-2 lead. Williams, yes, 16 for John Hot Rod Williams. The Bulls 98, Cavaliers 87. Time running down, though, on the Cavaliers with 2:35 remaining in the fourth. The Bulls seeking to go up 2-1, game number 4 here at the Coliseum Monday afternoon. Elo able to strip Jordan. Jordan thought he was fouled. Nice touch pass, Doherty from Williams. And it is now Chicago 98, Cleveland 89. The last time the lead was single digits was back early in the first quarter when Chicago led 10-2, an 8-point margin. Here's Jordan hit by Elo.
A little easier to say single digit than double digit, isn't it?
Well, you have to know your limitations. Isn't that what coaches constantly point out?
Stay within the framework
right.
of the team offense.
Absolutely. Caught right, had it knocked away, then recovered, lost to Price. Great for the Cavaliers. Doherty. I believe come to 7. And Phil Jackson calls for time. the midst of a 10-2 run to trim that Chicago lead to 7 points.
Something had to happen from the Cleveland defense. The loose ball on the floor. Cartwright comes up with it, but then hands it over to the wrong person. Price to Doherty, the big man, running and finishing for Cleveland. The crowd's in it. There's plenty of time left in the basketball game.
Chicago, 3 timeouts remaining. Cleveland with 3. A minute 40 to go in the fourth. Here's Jordan. Foul by Elo. That's 5 on Craig Elo. Michael Jordan will go to the line. Jordan is 6 of 6 from the foul line. Huge first quarter. Big third quarter. Jordan with his 34th point.
Perhaps it's that rest that he got at halftime prior to the game. Obviously rested, came out, exploded in the first quarter, but this gentleman was sick in game number 2. Some type of virus. Has not picked up the basketball since the end of game 2, so obviously not fully recovered yet.
In unusual fashion, came out early to shoot prior to the regular warm-ups. Told us that he is feeling much better, although still bothered slightly by the sore throat. Here's Nance. That was deflected. Horace Grant got a piece of it.
That time, 1 too many passes by the Cleveland Cavaliers. The shot should have been taken right in front of the rim by Hot Rod Williams. Instead, he dropped it off to Nance.
Chicago with the ball and a 9-point lead as we come up on 1 minute left in the fourth. Jordan finding Williams. Michael Jordan with a sensational play. He drew the actually a triple team.
Want to try that again?
Yes. And Doherty had it knocked out. Knocked out of his hands. As I said, stay within your limitations. And a timeout has been called with 53 seconds remaining in the fourth.
Chicago makes his little move to catch the ball, and then after he catches it, he uses a little escape dribble just to clear enough room to get a shot off. There's the escape dribble when he elevates 3 defenders, and then the drop-off pass at the end to Scott Williams for the jam.
Down to 53 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. The Bulls 102 of the Cavaliers 91. Michael Jordan 35 points, 6 rebounds, and 9 assists. Game 4 here at the Coliseum Monday afternoon, Memorial Day, starting 3 p.m. Eastern Time with Showtime. Bulls with 3 full timeouts remaining. Cavaliers have 2. Nance from deep. 18 for Nance. 102-93 Chicago. And the Bulls call for time. Down to 49 seconds to go. We'll be back in a moment. We resume. Michael Jordan leading the way with 35. Scottie Pippen with 23 points. Foul called on John Williams. 13 for Grant, 12 for Paxson. A solid game off the bench for Scott Williams. He had 10. Cleveland with the poor shooting first half. They did pick it up in the second half, but the front line of Lenny Wilkins did not put forth their usual type performance. Did not shoot well. Nance 7 for 17. Doherty 7 of 15. Williams 5 of 12.
And I'm sure that when they go back and review the tapes of today's game, the first thing Lenny will bring up is the aggressiveness on the glass. They must get on the glass with that big front line of theirs. Secure rebounds, limit Chicago's second shot opportunities. And you mentioned that Michael Jordan leading the way in scoring when you consider the fact that 29 of his points have come in quarters 1 and 3. Not bad for just a half a game.
And Cleveland has been blistered off the boards. In the first half, Chicago had a 25-11 edge. Crowd looking for a foul against Chicago, as was Mark Price. And B.J. Armstrong, in deliberate fashion, able to get it down. 20 seconds remaining in the game. So the Chicago Bulls will take a 2-1 lead in this best of 7 Game 4 here at the Coliseum on Monday afternoon. We will have it starting 3 o'clock Eastern Time with Showtime. Horace Grant with 15. The Bulls led by as many as 23. Elo again hits the 3. Cleveland did make a run, but Chicago able to hold on, and they win it in convincing fashion. Final score, the Bulls 105, and the Cavaliers 96. Michael Jordan, the high man, with 36, while Cleveland was led by Craig Elo, who had 20. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad saying so long from Richfield. Now to Bob Costas.
All right, we just have about 5 minutes here before we bid you adieu for this day, and we're back here, of course, tomorrow with the Jazz and the Trailblazers. Quick wrap-up thought?
You can't embarrass any team, and the Bulls got embarrassed the last game, and they came back playing hard enough trying to show the Cavaliers, we're the world champions. You got to beat us. You got to beat us in the 7-game series.
What, if anything, does it mean that the Cavaliers made a run in the fourth quarter and actually were a basket or two away from actually making it interesting?
Well, they actually did that in the first game, too. They played pretty well, and then down the stretch, they played badly the first quarter. Then down the stretch, they took some of the good play they had to build on. They knew that there's places they could get the ball, places to force Michael Jordan. They'll use some good points of this game. They better use the good points because the bad points obviously got them in trouble.
I'm going to take this opportunity to speak on the air here with our producer, Ricky Diamond. You won't see or hear him, but I've got him in my ear here. Scottie Pippen is standing by. Is Marv interviewing him, or are we interviewing him? We are. Okay, Scottie. Bob Costas and Quinn Buckner in New York. We didn't even let you wipe off the sweat, but we've only got a few minutes here. It must feel good to put that Game 2 nightmare behind you.
Well, it was great. It was a frustrating loss in Game 2, but the day we came out, we pushed the ball. We did what we wanted to do. We executed our offense.
Scottie, you did a good job you did a good job early. You came out and you played defensively. What were you trying to do with Brad Daugherty?
Well, I think basically what we're trying to do is after Brad put the ball on the floor is to get a double team on him, make him have to make decisions with the ball. And I thought our defensive rotation did a real good job of getting to the next pass where it was made it tough for him to find somebody open.
Scottie, how badly has the Bulls' pride been hurt as a team by the fact that the Knicks roughed you up a little bit and took you to 7, then the Cavs come into your building and embarrass you in Game 2, and maybe they mouth off a little bit out of frustration or whatever? Were you guys revved up?
It's kind of tough for me to hear you guys, but I think basically it was a very frustrating loss, and we wanted to come back and sort of shake that loss off today and come out and play hard and give our best. We embarrassed ourselves, we embarrassed the city of Chicago, and we wanted to come back and get that out of our system.
You have a sense, Scottie, that this is going to be a tougher ride to championship number 2 than last year en route to your first championship. You've already lost 4 times. Last year, only 2 defeats in the playoffs. And if you get by the Cavaliers, either Utah or Portland will be tough. This isn't an easy ride.
Well, it's going to be tough for us throughout. I think the basic thing we got to do is, within our team, we got to want it a little bit more. Last year, we was very hungry for a championship. And this season, we're just trying to coast through it. And I think what we got to do as a team is get a little bit more aggressive and come out and play harder as if we won our first championship and not our second.
Scottie, how much of a toll has this season been on you? You know, last year you kind of snuck up and won the championship. This year, you're going out. Everybody knows that you're the world champions, and they're making you play harder. How much of a toll has that taken on you guys this year?
Well, it's taking a tough toll on us because everybody's now scouting us, knowing what we want to do, stopping our execution, but we're still coming out playing hard. It's going to be tough for us to win than what it was last year, and we realize that. And that's why we play a lot better on the road than we do at home, because we be geared up for teams and trying to take their fans out of the game.
Scottie, one last quick question before we let you go. How much is fatigue a factor? This series is now on an every other day schedule and would be all the way through a week from tomorrow if it went 7. You've had the sprained ankle. How tired are you and your teammates?
Well, this is pretty tough. I'm pretty tired, but we want to win another championship. So I think the 5 guys that are playing heavy minutes are going to go out and give 110% no matter how many minutes we play. I think our benches came through for us and gave us a lot of relief, and giving them credit. I think Phil is doing a good job of rotating us in and getting us rest, but we want it bad enough. We'll survive through the storm.
Scottie, thanks very much. We'll see you back at it Monday afternoon for Game 4 at the Richfield Coliseum. It's Game 4 from the Delta Center tomorrow. The Jazz and the Trailblazers, 3 Eastern Time with Showtime for Quinn Buckner. I'm Bob Costas. We'll see you.